Hello, my name is Natalia Garcia. I am a registered dietitian working with the Manatee County Health Plan. I'm here to talk to you about carbohydrates today. And you probably heard about carbohydrates. You might be confused. You might be thinking they're bad for you. You might be thinking you can't have, your favorite carbs, whether they're fries, potatoes, pasta, you name it. But, something that I know is that if you are like me and most people, you don't want to make it your lifetime struggle to eat better, right? Because I'm here to tell you that it is not a lifetime struggle. It only requires small changes, which I know you can do. So hopefully by the end of this video, you will be able to take a few of the most important key points and then apply them into your lifestyle. And the most important thing is that you will most likely not know that you're making these changes. And the best part about all this is that you will actually get to enjoy these changes. And last thing, you will probably lose a lot of pounds by making these changes, but also improve your quality of life major. So let's get us started. Let's talk about carbohydrates. And you're probably wondering, so what foods have carbohydrates? So I have a few items here to show you what foods have carbohydrates. You're probably familiar, with the pasta, right? The vegetables, believe it or not, they do have carbs, very little ones, so we consider these free carbohydrates. You can eat many of these without having to worry about the effects on your blood glucose or blood sugar or your weight. We also have our legumes, right, which are our beans and peas. We also have our great grains such as quinoa, which is packed with protein and fiber. I will talk about the benefits of that in a second. We also have our whole grains, such as a whole grain pita bread right here, and our whole grain bread. And we also have our regular bread, right? And our cereals. Fruits are also considered carbohydrates. They are great carbohydrates, so we can eat them more regularly without having to worry so much about their effect into our blood glucose again, and our energy levels, and even our weight. And of course, we tend to have our junky foods, which we all like. And I'm not here to tell you you cannot ever have chips, or that you cannot ever have a soda, or that you cannot ever have something sweet, because I get it. I love sweets, I love junk, but I don't eat it every day, and I watch my portions. So let's talk about quality of carbohydrates in the purpose of eating them, because we do need them. However, whether you choose a poor quality carbohydrate versus a high quality carbohydrate can make a huge difference in the way you feel that day in terms of productivity, energy levels, and also can determine whether you have the energy to go for that 5 p.m. workout or run that you look forward to if you're training for a marathon or half marathon, or you even just want to work out to stay healthy and maintain your weight. So let's talk about carbohydrate quality, and I'm going to show you a slide here. You're probably familiar with the terms high quality or simple and complex carbohydrates. And the way I want to talk about these, I want you to think as your body as a high-performance car, right? So if you are a Lamborghini or a Ferrari per se, and that's a high-performance car, and you go to the gas station, right? What kind of fuel are you going to load that tank with? Ask yourself this. If you already have a really good car, are you gonna go for your premium fuel, which is going to get the most out of the car and make it run, the way it's supposed to? Or are you gonna get the regular one, which yes, it will get the job done, but are you really going to get the most out of that car? So, to show you the effects short term of, your poor quality carbs or your high quality, if we eat something that's poor quality, such as our, refined cereals or, juices and sodas, what happens with these guys is that these tend to be really high in sugar, or sometimes not high in fibers, such as our, white bread right here. So what happens is that we tend to digest all these foods, all these, poor quality carbs very quickly, because your body, doesn't take a lot of effort to break these carbs down. So you get energy right away, but guess what? It doesn't last you very long. So you end up looking like that, just dragging and probably crashing and looking for something again that's really high in sugar to get you back up. But what happens, you're up and down like a roller coaster, so that's no fun, right? So in comparison to that, I want you to take a look how productive and how energized you can feel by eating high quality or premium fuel, right? So those are specifically the carbs that are high fiber, right? And here I'm talking about our whole wheat bread, our very high fiber cereals with about 10 grams of fiber, that's pretty high. Our fruits and vegetables, again, these tend to be, super high in fiber as well. Our beans are again super high in fiber, same as our quinoa. And the good thing about these complex or high quality carbs is that because of the fact they have fiber, they store longer in us, right? So that makes us feel fuller for a longer period of time, and also sustain our energy levels for a longer period of time. Probably, this will help you not feel as hungry, 1 hour after having your meal, and will probably give you the energy that you need to, just accomplish everything that you have going on that day, right? So having that said, let's talk about, I want you to take a look at this picture, and yet again, take a look at what happens if you choose a high fiber carb or high quality carb. Your energy levels, right, they go up and they're sustained for a good amount of time, versus your fast digesting or low fiber or low quality carbs, you experience that, spike in your energy levels, and then what happens? You crash and you're dry, right? So that's no fun, that's not the goal. That for me is not getting bang for your buck when you're sitting and having a meal or you're having a snack. So having that said, let's talk about the fiber, now that we're on that. And I want you to take a look. This is a whole loaf of white bread. And to show you the little nutrition value that there is in this loaf of white bread, I want you to see how this can actually be smashed together into just one little ball, right? And this is a whole loaf of bread. So can you imagine this? Look at this. This was way bigger than this, and look at this. It's just all getting smashed up. So do you think you're really getting the most, out of that meal when you have poor quality carbs? If you can smash them all into one little bit? Probably not. Now, I'm gonna show you a loaf of whole wheat bread right here, and you'll see how this is not as easy to smash. Right, there's a lot of fiber right here, so it doesn't let me go all the way. So that's a lot of nutrition, that's a lot of fiber, right? That again will keep you full and fueled, and will just help you sustain those energy levels for a longer period of time. Having that said, let's talk about amounts of carbohydrates. I know I love pasta, that's one of my favorite foods. However, we want to keep in mind the adequate portions. So you're probably familiar with the 1 grade plate, which shows you how to, put certain amount of foods into your meals. And as you can see, our grains, right, are about 1/4 of our plate. Our protein 1/4, vegetables a little bigger, yet again, because they have very little calories, and you can eat a lot of those, and fruits about 1/4. So on the pasta note, I want you to take a look at the following picture and see how this can relate to the amounts you put on your plate when you have a carb. So if you take a look at this huge plate of pasta, right, it really doesn't apply to the plate guidelines. Now I know that, keeping it to your 1 cup, which would end up looking like this. Now, I know this is mac and cheese, but I want you to think about, the measure of the 1 cup, right? So if you can make it a goal to just make sure that you have 1 cup of grains, right, such as potatoes, such as rice, such as pasta, if you could make it your goal to just eat that amount, it can make a huge impact in maintaining your weight. And also just, not getting a whole lot of carbohydrate at one time, which can also, spike our energy levels and then make you crash. Now, I'm gonna talk about bagels for a second, and I want you to take a look at this slide again. I talk about bagels because I know these are very popular, and I know these are an easy to go food, carbohydrate food that we tend to go to, but you can actually be eating 3 slices of bread, right, instead of 1 bagel. Now think about it, what's gonna make you fuller? Probably the 3 slices of whole wheat bread, because it has a little fiber, right? So, whenever you have a meal, think about what's going to make you full, what is going to make you feel, with the most amount of energy to just get everything that you have going on that day done. Okay, now let's talk about the effects of certain types of carbohydrates into your weight. And I want to talk about sugar and vegetables in this case. So I want you to take a look at this picture of 3 stomachs, right? So the awesome thing about our high quality vegetables, our high quality carbohydrates, such as our vegetables, is that they can fill you a whole lot and they don't give you a whole lot of calories. If you take a look at this picture, this entire stomach is full, right? So that means you're not gonna go for seconds, and you'll be able to, focus on what you have to do because you're not going to be thinking about food, right? Now compare that to the stomach that shows 400 calories of chicken, right? It's only about 1/4 full, so you will likely be hungry after eating this or any type of fried food if it doesn't have fiber. And then also take a look at how that compares to 400 calories of oil, right? That's very little. So, if you're trying to maintain your weight, and get your benefits just by, getting your BMI below 25 or just maintaining your weight or losing 5% of your weight, this is something that I really encourage you to do. And that means, piling up your plate with vegetables, especially if you like to see volume. Like, I'm somebody that when I sit down and have a meal, I like to see a big plate, right? I love food, just like you. I love food and I love to eat. So what I do is I just pile the vegetables up and just full up on those. Okay, so you're probably wondering, okay, I know which ones are the poor quality and the quality carbs, so how can I add these quality carbs into my life? So let's talk about that for 1 minute. The first one is eat more vegetables at every opportunity you can each day. Best way to do it is probably having it with your lunch, making a sandwich, throwing in a few veggies, maybe a salad. Another great thing that I like to do is having my cut of vegetables and eating those with hummus. That's a great snack and very tasty. And it also gives you that crunch, and may even replace a potato chip. You never know. You have to try it and tell me. Our next tip, my next tip is just, if you take a look at the orange, actually is, choose the whole fruit instead of the juice. I already showed you all the goodness is left, so you get bang for your buck just by eating the orange and not the juice. My third one is go and try rice and quinoa, not because they're hot at this moment, but because again, they provide a lot of fiber, just, they may help you look beyond the bread aisle. My next one is take a look at the beans. I mean, beans are a great source of fiber. If you take a look at this label, half of a cup, which is this amount, is already giving you 6 grams of fiber. So that's the amount of fiber that you want to just be sustained and, feel focused and productive that day. So that's one of my tips. Pass on the potatoes, not that they're bad, but maybe you want to try, other things and bring on the beans. next here I have a picture of peppers. You can do this with tomatoes as well, but you can prepare brown rice or quinoa, then saute some vegetables, and then you stuff those peppers and tomatoes with that, and that's awesome too. You can have that for dinner, or just bring that for lunch as well. And my last tip, if you like chicken and you like that breaded, a really good tip to include those high quality carbs is breading those with oats. How about that? Just steel cut oats. Same way as you were gonna bread with just your regular breadcrumbs. You take your oats and you bread your chicken on that, and that's another way to include these. Next, I have a few pictures that I thought you would like of meals that include these high quality carbohydrates. You know, these are meals that I came across, and just by looking at them, my mouth waters. So hopefully you can get to try these at some point and then tell me about them. We have smoothies, tacos, chili, just an easy meal you could make at home and then take to work, such as brown rice, some broccoli, and some turkey, and endless possibilities here with high quality carbohydrates. Okay, so now let's talk about sugar. Yeah, that is one of the carbohydrates that tends to be the poorest quality. And I have some stats for you to look at when we talk about sugar. And here it is. I want you to ask yourself if you knew that 22 teaspoons of added sugar is the average amount that the average American consumes in a day. Now, if you do this every day, right, it's going to equal to, actually, did you know that the average American consumes about 22 teaspoons of added sugar per day? Now, that translates to 350 calories extra. So if you do that every day, that actually translates into 1 pound of weight gain per week. Now, I'm talking about not the healthy weight gain, muscle gain. I'm talking about the unwanted lazy fat weight gain, because unfortunately sugar, right, added sugar like that will not help you gain the muscle mass, the muscle weight that you want to look lean, right, and toned. Unfortunately, it's going to be the fat. So just keep that in mind, and I am going to show you how easy it is to, consume a lot of grams of added sugar without realizing. And beverages are unfortunately the main source of added sugars. So I want you to take a look at this picture and see how a day worth of 1,370 calories looks like in terms of beverages. So in the morning, let's say you have an 8 ounce of orange juice, whether it's natural or fresh squeezed, it's providing a whole lot of calories and sugar. Then we have a 400 calorie mocha, probably that you're getting on the way to work and stopping at Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts, you name it. Let's say that for lunch, you go ahead and have a 20 ounce soda. Then let's say that you feel that crash at 3 p.m. You want to get yourself up and you go for an energy drink or a fruit drink or a fruit punch, and that's again 230 calories. Then let's say after that you get home and it's dinner time, so you get some sweet tea, right? So that adds again another 200 calories. And then just to relax while you're watching TV, we have a beer which adds 150 calories. And guess what? That's a day's worth of 1,370 calories just coming from added sugars, right? So think about that. Now that we're talking about juice, I want to show you the amount of oranges that it would actually take you to make a 12 ounce glass of orange juice, right? And once we're done squeezing the oranges, I want you to think about if you would really eat 3 oranges in one sitting. Now, I love oranges, but I've never eaten 3 in one sitting. Now, it's not that fresh squeezed oranges is bad. It's definitely better than your, bottled juice because it's natural, so you're not getting the added sugar. However, when you make this into a juice, unfortunately, you lose the benefit of the fiber, which again gets you full and it just gets you going. So let's see how many oranges it takes us to fill up that glass. Okay, I think that's about how much juice I can get out of that one. So that's half. So as you can see, all the good stuff, which is the pulp, where you can find most of the fiber, it's left here, unfortunately. So let's see what amount of juice we got out of one orange. So unfortunately, that's only about 2 to 3 ounces. So let's get going and see how many more oranges we actually need to make that full amount of orange juice. And yet again, all the pulp is being left here, so what's the point? That's what I think about. Whenever I have a snack or I have a meal, I really want to get the most out of that meal, because if not, it's like waste, right? So think about that. Okay, we're at 2 oranges. Okay, so let's see. That's putting us at about 6 to 8 ounces. So hopefully when 1/3 orange, we'll get it all the way there. But I'm hoping you're realizing that you will probably not eat 3 oranges in one sitting, which, if you do drink orange juice, even if it's fresh squeezed, it's just a lot of carbohydrate just to take in at once. Okay, 2 oranges and a half. Let's see how much more we can get out of this one. All right, there we go. And again, take a look at all this goodness being left here. Let's see if I can even squeeze this to get the most juice. I think that's about right. Okay. There we go. 3 oranges needed to make 12 ounces of orange juice. That's quite a lot. All right, so let's jump into our last eye opener today, which it is an eye opener. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to show you the grams of sugar usually found in beverages, and I'm gonna take a 20-ounce Coke to show that. So if you take a look at this label, right, you will see how per serving, right, which is 1 bottle, you get 65 grams of sugar. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but you probably have never seen how much actually 65 grams of sugar looks like. So what I'm going to show you is exactly that by using my digital scale. a see-through plastic bag so you can see, and I'm going to spoon out the tablespoon of sugar from this sugar bag until we reach 65 grams. How about that? So turning my scale on, tearing it so we don't consider the weight of the plastic bag. And here we go. I'm going to tell you about how many grams we're at with each spoonful I get. So our goal is 65. And with one, we are at 8.2, so we have a long ways to go. 17.4. Now we are at 26. With our fourth one, we are at 36. With 5, that makes that 45. That's quite a lot already if you take a look at this. 55. And I'm hoping with one more we can do it. Not quite there, we're at 63. Almost. There we go, 65. All right, so this is what you're drinking. This is the amount of sugar that you're drinking every time you have a 20-ounce, not just Coke, but probably any soda. So, you know, if you have one a day, it's not the end of the world, but you may want to think about other foods or drinks that, again, have that added sugar that may not be, you know, helping you be as productive as you want, or, you know, helping you focus, you know, as well as you want, or just have the energy at the end of the day that you want to, you know, go home and spend some good quality time with your kids, you know, and family, which I think you know it's important and we all consider important. All right, let's do another one. I'm getting excited about this. I'm gonna get green sweet tea because I know this is a favorite one. So this guy has, there are 3 servings, right? So grams of sugar are 17, so that's times 3, that makes us 53. So let's get to that number. It's gonna be pretty similar to the Coke. So we are at 9, we are at 17, we are at 25, 34, 42, 51, 53. There you go. That's quite a lot as well. Something to think about. All right. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, so how am I going to, you know, reduce, you know, hopefully my soda intake or sweet tea intake? And I'm gonna tell you, just like I told you at the beginning, you know, the best way and the most efficient way to go about eating better and fueling your mind and body better is taking it one thing at a time and making that a small change without having to think about all the changes that you need to do, right? So I'm gonna share you something that was very helpful for me. I used to love Coke, just like the majority of people. Then I switched to Diet Coke, but then, you know, we still don't know what these artificial sweeteners may cause, you know, in our health long term. So I decided to stop that, and I tried something that is a flavored water, has no added sugars, also no aspartame or artificial sweeteners, which I know there's a little concern of what may happen if we have these. But this did it for me. It's sparkly, it's sweet, and it just did it for me. So I wanted to share, you know, this experience because it was a change for me after being used all my life to have one soda a day, and then I moved to having Diet Coke, but then I made it, so I did it, which I know you can also do this. So just to finish this up, I wanna remind you again that eating better does not have to be overwhelming. What we're doing here, and hopefully you get the gist of this, is that, you know, making small changes is feasible, especially if you can take a look at yourself and see some areas of improvement. So hopefully you were able to take 1 or 2 of the main key points here, and you can see how you can apply these into your lifestyle. Now, you don't have to be the superhero and want to do everything right and eat super good, because once again, that tends to be very overwhelming. Just pick one thing. It could be, instead of having, 2 sodas a day, maybe just have one. Maybe just have 1 beer instead of 2. Maybe, get water or flavored water instead of, that sweet tea or energy drink that you crave every day. So I want to mention the benefit of the registered dietitian benefit. Your health plan actually gives you 5 free visits with any registered dietitian on the network. So my name and all the other dietitians' names are on the Manatee Health Plan website. If you want to contact me, my number is 941-264-4644. My email is rd, like a registered dietitian, nutrition group @gmail.com. I will be happy to sit down with you, talk about your lifestyle, and see what changes we can do, see where you're at. Something that I always want to keep in mind, and I do my best, is meeting my clients where they're at. So I am not the food police. I am not going to judge you, because once again, I know you like food just the same I do. I know you like sweets the same way I do. So, I'm here to help and help you get the most out of your nutrition every time you sit down and eat, but not just for that, just to help you, improve your quality of life. Thanks.